At 47, she didn't think of herself as someone who was unhappy. Her life worked. It was organized, predictable, responsible. She knew how to keep things running, how to show up, how to do what needed to be done without complaint. From the outside, there was nothing obviously wrong. And for a long time, she believed that meant everything was fine. She had learned early that life followed a certain order. You did what was expected of you. You adjusted. You adapted. And if something inside, you felt unsettled, you assumed it was your responsibility to quiet it. She became very good at that. Somewhere along the way, she learned to wait, not in an obvious way, not consciously. She waited for the right moment, for things to calm down, for other people to be okay first. She told herself she would focus on herself later, when there was more time, when responsibilities were lighter, when life stopped asking so much of her. But life never did. At 47, she had done everything right. She had been patient, careful, reasonable, and still, there was a quiet sense that something was missing. Not in a dramatic, painful way. More like a low background noise she could never fully turn off. She didn't feel miserable. She felt paused. She began to notice small things. How often she hesitated before speaking. How quickly she dismissed her own ideas. How naturally she looked to others for approval, even in simple, everyday decisions. What she wore. How she spent her free time. What she wanted. Without realizing it, she had been waiting for permission. Permission to change. Permission to rest. Permission to want something different. And the most unsettling part was this. No one had ever told her she needed to wait. She had absorbed it slowly over years of being praised for being easy, for being flexible, for not asking for much, for being the one who understood. She learned that being agreeable was safer than being honest, that keeping the peace mattered more than listening to herself, that wanting more could be seen as selfish or ungrateful. So she learned to silence that part of herself. The realization didn't arrive loudly. It didn't come with anger or urgency. It arrived quietly, in moments of stillness she used to avoid. One day she noticed how often she delayed her own life, how often she said someday instead of now. How many decisions were shaped around what would be easiest for everyone else. And she asked herself a question she had avoided for years. What am I waiting for? There was no clear answer. No permission slip, no approval, no perfect moment waiting ahead, just time, passing. That awareness was uncomfortable. It forced her to see how much of her life had been lived in anticipation instead of presence. How often she had postponed herself, believing that eventually someone or something would signal that it was finally her turn. But no signal ever came. What frightened her most wasn't the idea of changing everything. It was the realization that she could keep waiting forever, that years could continue to pass while she remained in the same quiet holding pattern. She didn't make any dramatic moves. She didn't announce a transformation. She didn't abandon her responsibilities or rewrite her entire life overnight. Her first shift was internal. She began to notice when she said yes out of habit instead of desire, when she agreed simply to avoid discomfort, when she dismissed her own needs before anyone else had the chance to. She started questioning those moments, not with judgment, but with honesty. Do I actually want this? Is this still mine to carry? What would happen if I chose differently? Sometimes the answer scared her. Sometimes it didn't change anything. But asking the question alone began to loosen something inside her. She realized that waiting for permission had kept her safe, but it had also kept her small. It had protected her from judgment, but it had cost her authenticity. And slowly she began to understand that living fully didn't require anyone else's approval. It required her presence. At 47, She learned that choosing yourself doesn't always look bold or visible. Sometimes it looks quiet, like pausing before answering, like honoring your energy, like allowing yourself to want what you want without immediately explaining it away. She didn't become fearless. Doubt still visited her. Old habits didn't disappear overnight, but now there was a growing awareness beneath it all. She was no longer waiting, not for permission, not for approval, not for the right moment. She was allowing herself to live, not later, not someday, but now, in the small, honest choices that shape a life. And that, she realized, if this story resonated with you, consider staying with us. Subscribe to the channel for more stories about quiet awakenings, second beginnings, and learning to live honestly at any age. Liking the video helps this message reach other women who may need it right now. And if you'd like a gentle reminder when a new story is released, turn on the notification bell. This space was created for reflection, clarity, and coming back to yourself. And you're welcome here.